Myself, Dr. K.K. Shivakumar. I'm working as the Associate Professor in the Department of Chemistry, Academy of Maritime Education and Training, deemed to be University. Welcome you to this wonderful session regarding of power plant water chemistry. Power plant water chemistry, it is of essential one, which gives some interlinkage between industry and the chemistry, particularly in the academic side. See, in boiler, where conditions are harsh, corrosion can become more destructive one. Therefore, water chemistry becomes extremely critical. There are two sources of problems which arises in boiler. Number one, corrosion product carryover from the feed water system, and the second one is of impurities introduced via condenser tube leaks. The first case of impurities, the first case of corrosion product carryover from the feed water system, when copper and iron reaches a boiler, they usually deposits in the high heat areas of the boiler. Not only these deposits reduce the heat transfer, but they can also cause the under deposit or galvanic corrosion, because corrosion is often localized. In the second case of, but if you are looking the first case, proper feed water treatment minimizes these problems. In the second case of impurities introduced via condenser tube leak is of more serious one, because condenser contains thousands of tubes. Leakage occurs often, very often, but leakage where it happens means where the tube is rolled into the tube sheets. Sometimes upper tube stream erosion will also cause the leakage. Whatever the cause, a leaking tubes allows impure cooling water enters into the condensate or to your feed system or to the boiler or to the steam system. Corrosion or the feed water treatment, it should be carried out very carefully. What happens is that some unwanted impurities like calcium, magnesium, bicarbonate, silica reacts at a high temperature in boiler. They produce undesirable compounds such as calcium carbonate and HCl. Calcium carbonate is a scale which minimizes the various operational conditions, including the wastage of fuel, the time, the save, it doesn't save the time. And the second case is of, in particular this case is that it makes some dangerous for the boiler, say like explosion may happen. Second case, secondly, if you are looking HCl downwards of water pH. Whatever the cause, this feed water system should be treated very well. Boiler tube failures or other problems have been known to occur within days, sometimes within hours after severe condenser tube leaks. It was once observed where the condition, the leakage in condensate which caused the boiler water pH downwards from the 9.2 to 5.8 in 45 minutes, which caused the entire stream is carried over with the salts. If the situation could not be corrected, the entire turbine will be coated with the salt deposits, because entire removal of contaminants from the boiler water system is of more tedious one. In general, if you are looking, feed water should be carefully treated to mitigate the effects of contamination. Sodium phosphate is the most popular treatment for the subcritical boilers. That means boilers which are operating at less than 13 megapascal. Sodium phosphate adding, if you are adding, it serves in two distinct purposes. The first, phosphate, sodium phosphate, which is an alkaline substance which increases the boiler water pH and ultimately reduces the corrosion. Secondly, the phosphate ion or the alkalinity produced it reacts with the impurities such as calcium, magnesium, bicarbonate, silica. It forms some loose products, loose precipitate, which is removed via boiler blowdown. Sodium phosphate must be operated on coordinate or congruent basis, because this is also having a lot of disadvantages. Why? The reason is that TSP, trisodium phosphate, reacts with water at a high temperature, produces hydroxide ions, which causes caustic corrosion or caustic embrittlement. Therefore, congruent or coordinate based system is required. Adding disodium phosphate into the boiler, it minimizes the caustic corrosion simultaneously, which also exhibits some retrograde solubility. What happens is that in high pressure boilers, which are operating at more than 13 megapascal, a phenomenon known as phosphate hideout may occur. What is this phosphate hideout? Is that the phosphate treatment or any other treatment technologies which is designated to minimize the corrosion and exhibit retrograde solubility, but this becomes less soluble at high temperature. Therefore, sodium phosphate treatment programs must be carried out very carefully in high pressure boilers, particularly more than 13 megapascal. Sodium phosphate in high pressure boiler, sodium phosphate, which is dosed into the boiler system, what will happen is that when the heat load is increased, the steam production is in very highest side. The phosphate which is going to be precipitated on the boiler wall. Once the heat load is very highest side, the more and more of phosphate is getting precipitated over the boiler wall. Ultimately, what will happen, the phosphate ratio in the system, sodium phosphate ratio in the system, it will be greater than 3:1. This case, the boiler water pH, which is going to be fluctuated here and there likewise. So, in this system, normally what is in the power station which takes place is that they add disodium phosphate to maintain these issues, but unfortunately, when the heat load is reduced, whatever the precipitated phosphate which redissolves and downwards the pH. Now, the water chemistry is extremely critical. So, maintaining the ratio or maintaining the condition is very difficult. Sodium phosphate treatment is having such a problems. Therefore, in most of the power stations or the high pressure boilers, chemists suggest and they switch over to the new system like the feed water or the boiler water should be maintained with a less amount of phosphate, which is below 2 to 3 ppm, and sodium hydroxide is added to maintain the pH. What will take place is that because of this condition, there is a phosphate hideout is minimized, but unfortunately there is the accumulation of hydroxide ion takes place. So, phosphate treatment programs is not possible for 1-through units. Therefore, these units must be operated on all volatile treatment program. In an all volatile treatment program, the boiler water pH is maintained solely by ammonia or amine. What happens is that now the feed water, which may be dosed with ammonia, hydrogen, likewise chemicals. In the boiler also there is no phosphate. Therefore, the feed water quality should be maintained at very high level. Therefore, it is imperative that any unit must be equipped with condensate polymer system whenever the condensate or any other water which is entering into the boiler, which makes healthy boiler. Once a healthy boiler is maintained means either the case of low critical boilers or subcritical boilers or high pressure boilers, the boiler life is improved very well. See the case of subcritical water system steam cycle. You can see here there is of demineralized water treatment plant water. The demineralized water which gets enter into the deionizer unit makeup water, this is makeup water, and partially the partial water which is entered into the HP heaters and partially enters into the low pressure heaters. HP heater water which goes into the economizer to the our water valves simultaneously there is the provision for blow down operation also. Similarly, there is a return line from this water valve tubes to the superheater to the HP turbine. Again there is a cold reheated water which will be circulated into the reheater, then reheater heats the water, then again it is going to the hot reheat to the low pressure turbine. Similarly, in other side of low pressure heaters, so which is fed into the via condenser, it goes into the LP condenser, again it will come back to the deionizing unit. So this system is the wholly operated in systematic form as a subcritical water stream cycle. Supercritical water system cycle, there is a small difference between subcritical water stream cycle and supercritical water stream cycle. If you see the case, again the same small difference, there is a Siemens demineralized water system, it enters into the makeup water quality into the unit. From the unit, the partially or completely which may enters into the HP heaters into the economizer into the water valves, not through the superheater or any other line. From the water valves tubes, this outlet which is provided with superheated water which is entered into the mainstream line which goes to the HP turbine area. From the HP turbine area, the whole reheated water, which goes back to the reheater outlet water which goes into the hot reheat to the low pressure turbine. From again the low pressure turbine through the condenser, it is circulated into the LP heaters. Again it is reverted back into the HP heaters. So such a small difference is in between subcritical boilers and supercritical boilers. This is a typical image of under deposit corrosion or galvanic corrosion, because galvanic corrosion or under deposit corrosion, it takes place by impurities introduced via condenser tube leaks or to the feed water leakage problems or feed water contamination problems. See the case, galvanic corrosion, there is of the entire steel material or the mild steel material, any metal specimen, the outer layer or inner layer completely damaged, you can see from this picture. Condenser tubes, I already discussed about this. Condenser tube contains thousands of tubes. The thousands of tubes, wherever the tube is rolled into the tube sheets, this tube sheet area only corrosion takes place. That means upper tube stream erosion, that also causes the corrosion. You can see here the corrosion as well as scale which is produced in the condenser tubes. This is a small difference between the corrosion, scale and fouling. You can see the corrosion, there is of the batches like this, here and there batches like this. It is not a complete corrosion, corroded part because of the cathodic part and anodic part. The anodic part only corrosion takes place, cathodic part which supports the anodic reactions. See the scale means there is also batches like this, is a small difference between corrosion and scale. Fouling is caused by microbiological material. This is the scale which is measured in the online monitoring system. The online monitoring system is provided with the, even though the water system is controlled by the chlorine feed water system, and there is the FRC level is maintained up to the 0.2 ppm, even though there is a fouling in the scale is observed. So once we start the corrosion, there is a control technology is available. You can see in this picture, there is of the corrosion products, how we can control. Various technology is implemented in the corrosion control techniques. The first controlling minimum technique is that just to avoid or to maintain proper specimen, steel specimen for those locations. So we have to select correct steel specimens in the specific area of applications. You might understood these concepts, which is of essential one, which connects the industry and water chemistry academician purpose. Hope you might enjoy the session. Thank you. We'll see in another session.